I will now call the meeting to order at 7 p.m. here at Macadavic Place, St. George. Good evening and welcome to the August 2023 regular council meeting for the Eastern Charlotte Council. This is our 8th official council meeting for Eastern Charlotte. I welcome all those attending here tonight and those that are watching on television or on their cell phones tonight. I wish to welcome and thank CHCO for being here tonight, and Lucas Kohler doing the camera tonight, and Florence Mitchell, I believe, is in the back doing all the switching tonight, so I want to thank those two for being here tonight. In attendance tonight, we have Amy Carter filling in for Chris McKinnon. The camera, take a quick shot of Amy. Amy's filling in tonight, doing an excellent job, and she's actually part of our team, and want to welcome her here tonight. And of course, our CAO, Jason Gaudette, is here tonight. All of council is here tonight, and I look for a motion to adopt the agenda for tonight. And Councillor Lee, seconded by Councillor Thompson. Question or comment on the Councillor Dedirakis.
Just a quick correction. It's for item 10, new business, D, generators and capital funds. I think this was just a bit of an error. It should say St. George Capital Fund. Okay.
Okay, which one was that again? I just trying to find you.
Oh, Your Worship, it's
D. Okay, I
yeah.
thought you said B. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. Any other questions or comments on that motion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, and that's passed unanimously. 3 is conflict of interest disclosure. Anybody who wishes to make any conflict of interest may do so now. If not, we move on to 4, which is adoption of the minutes of previous council meetings. And 4A is the July 19th, 2023 regular meeting of council. I need a motion to adopt those minutes. Councillor McQuarrie. Seconded by Councillor McKay, sorry. Question or comment on that motion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, and that's passed unanimously. 4B, August the 8th, 2023 is the closed meeting of council. I'll look for a motion for that. Councillor McQuarrie again. A second by the Deputy Mayor. Am I going too fast, Amy? Excellent. Any questions or comments on the motion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Contrary, and that's passed unanimously. That brings us up to 5, business arising out of minutes. I don't think there's anything tonight. 6 is delegations. There are none tonight. 7 brings us to the department reports. And the first one is the CAO, Jason Gaudette. And that's item for general government report.
Thank you, Your Worship. In finance, staff has been working on, with the financial auditors, finalizing the audited financial statements for the 2022 fiscal year for the former municipalities. And as of right now, tentatively, we'll be looking at probably a presentation to council September the 6th, I believe, as of right now, that Wednesday, September 6th. So the auditors will be presenting the audited statements. NB Power, contact on streetlight installs and energy audits. We're trying to do some of those for the rural fire halls to bring them up to date and find some savings with updating lighting and heating. Updated gas tax fund plan, for Blacks Harbor, while incorporating and merging it with the whole of Eastern Charlotte. Both the former municipalities have a gas tax plan, as well as some funding in the unincorporated areas of the former LSDs. So just compiling an update of that plan, and that should be coming to council for September. Discussion with the province on economic development, on possible child care initiatives for our area, housing development, developments in St. George and Blacks Harbor. Still ongoing work, development agreements, site plans, requirements, and providing some direction on some funding with those developers. We just keep getting closer, but I guess we'll all see when things start to actually happen. Properties, meeting weekly with bylaw enforcement, 15 plus dangerous and unsightly property files for Eastern Charlotte. Transportation, working with Dillon Consulting on traffic studies for intersections in St. George. Request sent to DTI on intersection for Back Bay. So we'll probably be trying to get more of a formal a discussion with them and maybe bring them in for the Public Safety Committee so we can move along with that. The Parks and Rec repairs to the exterior washroom here at J.O. Spinney Drive, and as well, final updates, fixes for Canal Beach completed as well as needle and sharps containers installed in the bathrooms here in J.O. Spinney Drive. And we did work on some issues with the Moby pad with the manufacturer, still trying to work out some final fixes for that. Resurfacing of the basketball courts and pickleball courts was complete. Finished work being done with netting, fencing, and backboards. Arena updates continued with webcams being installed, the interior gym floor, and upgrades to the ice system, general repairs, and shooting for our startup time in September. Fire chief and I, we met with the fire underwriters on regulations and classification of fire services, clothing, uniform, and uniform crests, shoulder flashes have all been ordered, just awaiting new logos to be installed on vehicles, and working on the draft policies and bylaws relating to fire. Summerfest staff was busy with the event planning for Summerfest, and a big thank you to Cook's Aquaculture for the donation of fireworks. It was a great show. We will be meeting to debrief on making the event better and talking about any changes or updates that we can do for next year. Overall, a good job with positive feedback from many of the attendees. The SPCA met with the SPCA on several open files for animal control and welfare issues. Residents should be contacting SPCA directly at 877-722-1522. That's the SPCA New Brunswick. Policing, we reached out to NB Policing Association regarding regional policing. I've left countless voicemails and no response. So I've got another contact with the St. John Policing Service that I'm going to be using. EMO met with CAOs on regional EMO coordination and planning. Water system, working with Connors Brothers on scheduling a repair of the water line for Blacks Harbor and Beaver residents. Awaiting a date of repair work, and residents will be asked to limit water consumption for about 6 to 8 hours. 6 hours perhaps is what we're looking at. So, and this report was written certainly before we went to the boil order, and boil order is relating to that break in the water system. Utilities, ongoing work with respect to the water and wastewater integration bilateral agreement, projects for St. George and Blacks Harbor, engineering updates and project reports, awaiting test wells in St. George and landowner contacts for Blacks Harbor. And personnel, new public works labor operator in Blacks Harbor, and the arena rec foreman in place as well. Residents are encouraged to report suspicious activities to the police. Also, we ask residents not to blow grass clippings onto roadways for biker safety, motorbike safety. And that is my report.
Thank you, Jason. Any questions or comments on the Councilor Hat, you're first?
It says in the arena updates, the webcam, so is that webcam going to be up and functional for the arena season coming, or are we still waiting on internet for that?
It would be internet right now, so we're hoping to have the internet upgraded. We can put out a web broadcast, but it wouldn't be something that most people would be familiar with. It'd be more something probably the early 2000s, a very broken up connection. So we want to allow people to go in and see an actual game going on. So that's what we're trying to work towards. So just working with Bell, and I think there's another service provider of transferring over the internet service.
Any other questions or comments? If not, we'll move on to the building and planning report. And tonight we have Alex Henderson here tonight.
Thank you, Your Worship.
You're welcome.
So, building plan report. First thing, we have the Housing Accelerator Fund application, which is on your agenda for later. We also attached the June PRAC meeting minutes, as was, I think, discussed at the last council meeting. With regard to development in general, there is 37 building demolition permits issued, over $4 million in construction value through those permits. There was a couple files where there's no change in the report period. And to date, there's been 7 variances issued. 11 development permits. So these are permits that are just for zoning approval for small structures or accessory outbuildings. The value there being $300,000. 15 tentative subdivision applications have been approved to date. 22 zoning confirmation letters, and a total of 13 net new dwellings were permitted in the year to date, and no new in the report period. With regards to enforcement, which we're now providing a dangerous and unsightly premises enforcement service to the community. There's 17 open enforcement files that are being worked on currently. 15 of those are in the dangerous and unsightly premises portfolio. So to our Community Planning Act or Building Code Administration Act enforcements. So that concludes my report, but I can take any questions if council has any.
Great, thank you, Alex. I think I'll go to council for questions. If not, oh, I'm sorry.
I have a
Councilor
question.
Hatt, here first.
The 7 variances, who issues the variance? Just you guys alone?
So variances it's a good question. Variances can be issued in 2 different ways. So one way to do it would be to go through committee, and another could be through the development officer. So the Community Planning Act has 2 different ways a variance decision can be heard. If it's going to be heard by development officer, it can't go to committee, and vice versa. If it's something that's going to committee, it can't be heard by the development officer. What our policy in terms of what goes where, when a development officer is hearing a variance, typically what we're going to be doing is dealing with something that's very minor, usually between 1 or 2 neighbors. And what we would like to see, if we're going to do that administratively, is to make sure that there's consent from those adjoining property owners. So, for example, if somebody wanted to put a fence on a property line and there's a requirement to have a setback, if you have an agreement from the adjoining neighbor, then what we will do as the development officer is vary that. It avoids having to go to lengthy process, community notification, and all that's involved with going to committee. So development officer variances are a power that exists to make development flexible, so certain reasonable things can happen on an expedient time frame. But it's not meant to be used, at least in our practice, we don't use it in cases where there's a large public interest and potential for many property owners to be affected. That's best served at a committee level, where you do a public notice and where you actually have an advertised meeting that people can attend and provide their views. So that's kind of our approach with that.
Is that open to a public meeting, any of the variances?
Yes, so if it's going to committee, we'll have a public meeting where it's advertised through a notice for the neighbors around. So within 100 to 200 meters or more, if it's a very significant potential file. But where a development officer handles it, we can give notice in that same kind of way, where we do 100 meters. But typically, again, if we're having a file that has that kind of level of impact, we're going to refer it to the committee, because we, as development officers, we are more comfortable handling a file ourselves if it's only going to affect 1 or 2 properties, and those 1 or 2 property owners have no objections. So we'll get those letters typically in writing, but if they're unable to, we can also send notifications to have representation sent back to us by a certain time frame.
I think as a counselor, I would like to know when 7 variances are given inside of Eastern Charlotte, to know what they are, because we have no information, and I've gone through the minutes twice now that you've said that the variances were there, and I do not see them. So either they're not part of the report that is provided to me, or we're not getting the full picture.
If I can, it is in your report. It's in your, it's in this the data, the spreadsheet that's provided to you, so you can see them there.
If so, it's so vague that there isn't any information to do with it. But it would be nice to know when variances happen, that this council has an idea what variances are giving out.
Yep. And when we have a new variance application that's coming up on the committee's agenda, I'll put this in the report, the report I'm giving right now. So you're aware that there's something coming up that you might be hearing about as a council member. So we do that. But yeah, all the variances that are issued are in your report, so.
Any other questions or comments for Alex tonight? Councilor McQuarrie, you're next.
Alex, on the dangerous and unsightly premises thing there, could you guys put in at least what the wards are they're in?
Oh, so terms of
Like-
where the files
yeah,
are
'cause,
occurring?
like, it just says file and,
So with enforcement, we don't put addresses because, no, I see what you're saying. We could look at that. We don't currently categorize them that way, but it's something we'll look at. If,
that way, like, it keeps
Yeah.
up from, keep nagging at you, or you looking at this, or you looking at this.
Right.
So at least it's got a ward number on it. Like,
yep, I understand.
Any other questions or comments for Alex? If not, thank you.
Make a comment there. The report you're highlighting is the large Excel file, the one that's, is that the one that goes around? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I can share that, we get that to council. We'll do that this evening there.
Oh,
It's,
my mistake. I didn't know that. It's
no,
not,
I think usually what it is, we get those and we've got them off and on, but they're typically too large to print.
Okay.
So maybe you and I can as well look at some way to condense that, but it's a printable matter that
Sure.
we can just, send it to council as well.
Yeah, no, I apologize. I wasn't aware that council wasn't receiving those. We send those monthly, but if the spreadsheets are too large, then we can work on some way of making that easier to share.
My major concern is anything that comes back liabilities to us, I'd like to know up front, especially when it comes around variances. So that's why I'd like to know that.
Right.
Any other questions or comments? If not, thank you very much for coming in.
You're
tonight.
welcome.
I appreciate it. That brings us to the fire report, and I'll call on Councilor Thompson tonight.
Eastern Charlotte Fire Rescue for the month of July. We had a total of 34 calls. 5 of those were false alarm. The chief is working on the structure for the departments. I'd like to thank all the firefighters for their valuable time during Summerfest, for their help with everything. Thank you.
Any questions or comments? If not, we'll move along to the Public Works report, and I'll call on Councilor McQuarrie for this.
For Blacks Harbor, they're doing the regular water checks, and you know what the water's like now, they're under boil order, so hopefully that'll be repaired very quick. They're doing general repairs on some of the equipment, fleet equipment there. Garbage truck needed regular maintenance, needed throttle body and batteries for the 3-ton. Both lawnmowers had to be serviced. They're maintaining storm drains and continue upgrades that need. Ditching and draining will continue. New signage and banners installed in Beaver Harbor. Lamp post at the Main Street Park has been repaired and straightened. They're continually mowing the parks and playgrounds, ball fields, cutting back alders, mowing the ditches. This is all ongoing, and they're getting ready for asphalt. Arena maintenance continues. The sprinkler system has been inspected. And for St. George, mind my squinting, I didn't bring my glasses. They're gradually getting all the painting all refreshed on the last of the parking lines, handicap parking and no parking spots. Dust complaints are being received from construction areas and are addressed as soon as possible. Calcium chloride. Asphalt paving has begun for the season and will continue as time allows and weather. There are some areas with tree branches blocking street signs that have to be cleared. We have the RCMP speed information sign in the area again this summer. That's in Blacks now, isn't it? Didn't that go back to Blacks?
The sign, the radar sign? It's
Yeah.
back St. George,
Back here again? Oh, okay.
Back Bay. Come up here.
The mowing with the trackless was on hold for a couple of weeks due to repairs. We have been experiencing more and more light fixtures going bad on Main Street light poles. Has made it necessary to transition the lights over to LED, so there was a drastic difference among the lights. Water. Total amount of water used dropped slightly to 9.7 million gallons with an average of 315,000 a day. It is unusual to see water drop at peak season. We experienced a major disruption in operation of pump number 5 due to pump malfunctions. Repairs took place over the course of a day and a half, ending up having one pump needing to be sent away for repair and possible replacement. We also had to remove a pump from number 4 due to mechanical failure and send it for inspection and evaluation on repairs. Okay, Splash Pad has been using an unusual amount of chemical this season and is believed a cracked chlorine probe is a fault. A new probe is on order, and hope is the system will return to normal once installed. Fencing around Bedford Field has had the new plastic top put on, so that's all done. Playtech has done the coating in the basketball and pickle courts. Final touches are being made on the new canal canteen building, and preparations were made for the annual festival with works personnel helping to move, pick up, or repair necessary supplies. And they did a pretty good job of that, too. And that's it.
Thank you, Councilor McQuarrie. Any questions or comments for Councilor McQuarrie? Councilor Dedirakis.
This question is not for Councilor McQuarrie. It's a question for our CAO. What could be attributing to the fact that there is that we're seeing? This is about Ron Groom's report for St. George. What could be the explanation why we're seeing a drop in water use this summer?
Majority of that's going to come from the production plant. That's the bulk of our usage. So we could be seeing some production numbers down from there. Moe wasn't operating this year as well, this summer. So normally you will see them operating through summer months. So nothing unusual when it comes to residential behavior. So it's our industrial side.
Okay. And a second question. if I may.
Except
Yep.
a lot of people don't have to put water on the lawns this summer. So.
No,
True. That's true. That's true.
Or the gardens. 'Cause that's my job at home, doing the gardens. I've had a pretty easy summer.
Okay, so the second question is, with the news that there are several beaches closed in southwest New Brunswick because of high fecal bacteria, is this something that we should be concerned for Canal Beach?
it is something that we're looking at to try to put in a regular schedule testing. We've had some discussions with ECW to start like a more of a regular routine. Oddly enough, the provincial beaches are under regulation to be, the provincial public beaches are under regulation to be tested.
Yeah.
But the municipally owned ones are not. They're just very randomly looked at. We've tried to encourage them to bring some of our own testing in. If you go on their website, you see a lot of the public beaches that are provincially owned are all in there. They've got flags showing different type of testing that's being done, but we've just been sort of left out from that. Really the only advisory that we ever have that with Lake Etopia and Canal has been a 2003 algae bloom, and that's been really it. And it's once you have that, it's always ongoing. But even that, where we want to start testing for possible algae, not just fecal matter that's could be in the water too. But there's a lot of reasons why we should be testing more frequently. So I would suspect that's something we'll probably be starting next year and get into almost like a weekly, someone walking out and doing tests of the water. So it is something that we're looking at for sure.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, no other questions or comments?
Just your worship.
Yeah, Jason, you go ahead.
Yep. And I guess just on the Black Arbor situation, I mean, we do have an active boil order in Black Arbor. Right now, as of today, we've pretty much narrowed down the cause of why we're getting some turbidity or some, I guess, some sediment that's coming in the water system. So it's all pretty much attributed to the break that's just at Cricket's Brook. So as of this evening, or I guess this afternoon, the tentative schedule is Monday to get at that. And but we've certainly expressed to the parties that be and the parties that are involved here, even with engineering, that we'd like to see that expedited and as soon as possible. So So it really won't resolve itself until that fix is actually corrected. So the sooner we get at the fix, the sooner we can start actively flushing lines and reservoirs and get off the boil order. So certainly a very big concern for us.
Great. I move on next to the 7E, which is committee reports. Is there any reports from the committee chairs today? Councilor Hatt, you're first.
So bear with me because it's a little bit long because we had a festival. So July was a very productive month with the completion and the resurfacing of both the basketball court here and the pickleball court up to Mount Pleasant. There's still some minor work to be done on that pickleball court as far as backboards and fencing, I believe. That's still to be done, but we're almost at the finishing line with that. There's been a lot of maintenance over the summer around the ball field, as everybody has seen. And yes, the pitcher mound is still lacking, but after the season's completed, we will put a push on to try to get that down before the winter. We do have some drainage issues going on in the outfield, whether it's a box drain that's plugged up or what. We're probably going to take a look at that in the fall and see what the easiest way to rectify so we can get some drainage in that ball field. I would also like to welcome Paige Scott back after a year of maternity leave. Paige is the manager of the Community and Program Development in Eastern Charlotte. The YMCA has been in full swing in both St. George and Blacks Harbor locations. Blacks Harbor had their first week-long day camp and planning another one for August. For information, join the YMCA in Eastern Charlotte Facebook page or call Paige directly, 506-754-5654. Summerfest in St. George was well received. I want to thank all the volunteers and participants. And as Councillor Thompson said, without the fire department and the staff that we have here, it would be a really hard event to get off the ground. So I just want to say thank you to all the help. We've learned a lot on what works and what needs a little bit of fine adjustment. Yes, I know the soapbox derby and the Little People's Parade, we've got to split it up so people can do both. So that's definitely one that we've took under the microscope to see what we can move around. So we are on week 7 of 9 of the summer concert series. So let's go back 7 of 9. That means summer's almost over. So tomorrow evening, August 17th, we'll be featuring Mike Chase from 7 to 9 in this building. So down to Blacks, the arena has begun receiving the hardware for the control system that runs the cooling plant. So all the upgrades and stuff's been bolted in. We're going to start software downloads and the commissioning stage on the 11th, 12th. That's the window. Crossing fingers, everything goes good. That weekend we will start cooling down the ice plant and start making ice and put ice in by the end of the next week. So on September the 25th, is our go date, is what we're aiming for. Mind you, there's a lot of work and a lot of commissioning that we have to get right for that to happen. So the major users are definitely wanting to get on the ice. So repairs are being done to the boards. As our CAO said, the cameras are up and mounted. Mind you, there's some internet stuff that we've got to get worked out. New netting has been installed. Thanks to Future Nets for the help on getting that done and installed. The new gym floor is going down. I know there's some pictures on Facebook, and I know everybody's excited to get on it. It isn't ready yet. We're 90% there. We've got some stuff to finish up and get it painted up and make it right, and how we're going to go about launching that and getting it out to the public to use. So just stay with us just a little bit longer. We're almost to the finish line on that project, so it's getting pretty exciting. Ice rental rates will remain the same as last season, so there will be no price increase this year. We're going to also offer the, we called them bubble skates. We're going to call it something different than bubble skates this year, but same idea. Any holes that are in the schedule that we can rent ice out, there'll be a discounted rate for that. Drew Dugan has accepted the position of Parks and Recreation Foreman for Eastern Charlotte. Drew's been with the municipality since 2012. I want to thank Drew for all that he has done and will continue to do for Eastern Charlotte and look after recreation and moving it to the next step. I know, and I speak when I say, he's been great to work with, and I'm so happy to continue to work with you. The Fog Festival in Blacks Harbor is set for Friday, September the 1st to Sunday, September the 3rd. A complete list has been published on the Eastern Charlotte website and the Facebook page, and there's brochures that'll be around all the businesses in the areas. There's definitely something for everyone, and we look forward to it being an Eastern Charlotte event in the surrounding areas again for another fun weekend. This year's Fog Festival sponsors are Connors Brothers, Cook's Aqua, Trivium, Turtle Trading Company, or also known as Fundy Life, Eastern Charlotte Waterways, Charlotte County Refrigeration, OE, Keith's Building Supplies, and Subway. And the last thing I want to bring up, I had the opportunity last Sunday with the mayor in town here, August 6th, for a thing called Operation White Heart. It was the 500th heart that was made. It's at the St. George Post Office in memory of Hillary Hooper. When you're driving down Main Street, look straight ahead. You'll see it by the front entrance on the left-hand side. You can't miss it. It's a wonderful thing, and I know that we've reached out another one of interest in this area too. So it's a great project. So thank you. That's my report.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hatt. I think the big news there is that hockey season's coming back. Just want to say the YMCA program in Black Sabbath is going very well. Actually, I had my granddaughter signed up for that, and she was there the whole week. And the first day, I went and picked her up about 15 minutes early, and her comment to me was, "Why are you here so early?" So they had a great time down there. The kids are going on. So I encourage parents and people to sign your kids up for those programs. We're very fortunate to have the YMCA in our area. Any other questions or comments for Councillor Hatt tonight? If not, any other committee reports tonight from anybody else? Yeah, Deputy Mayor, you're first.
Public safety, we had a meeting in St. Stephen today with the Regional Service Commission. All the areas, I guess, were represented. There's a plan to try to move all services forward. We're, I say, first meeting, so it's a work in progress, but very positive so far.
Great, thank you, Deputy Mayor. We'll move on to the financial statement, and I'll go to Jason for this.
Thank you, Your Worship. So just with overall just general income, fiscal year to date is 2.846 million. That's our current year to date. And as far as utility goes, utility income for the year, we're at 335,144. I don't know if Councillor Lee wants to add anything more to that.
Well, no, just the total cost for July was $740,147.48. Some of the heavy hitters would have been general government, 58,000, protective services, 181,000, fire protection was 46,000, transportation, 112,000, environmental health, 145,000, recreation, 51, and there's a number of other ones. If anyone would like a breakdown of that, I have it. I can give it to you after the meeting.
Thank you, thank you, Councillor. I'm going to go back to Jason.
I guess we'd just be looking for, trying to get back into monthly motion to accept the financial reports for the month of June.
Yeah, as soon as, we can take a motion to accept it first, and then we'll take more questions and comments. So what I'll do, at this point, I'll take a motion from a councillor to accept the financial statements. Councillor McQuarrie, you're second by the Deputy Mayor. Okay, now we'll go back to question and comments. Councillor Dedirakis.
I just want to say thank you so much for providing this full breakdown. Thank you.
You will. Any other questions or comments? If not, all those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye. Contrary, and that's passed unanimously. That brings us to 9, old business, and 9A is a request from Bill Conley is Conley's Martial Arts. I will accept a motion at this point. Councillor Tidd.
I move that council approve Mr. Conley's request to use the recreational space at the Patrick Connors Recreational Complex for karate instruction at no cost, subject to the signing of license of occupation.
We have a motion on the floor, seconded by Councillor, Deputy Mayor, sorry. Question or comment on the motion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Contrary, and that's passed unanimously. Very nice. That brings us to 10, new business. 10A is the EMO coordinator of municipal EMO plan. I would accept a motion at this point. Nobody?
Let me give it a synopsis. I can give a synopsis. Do you want me to give you a
I move to update the Eastern Charlotte EMO plan for 2023 and appoint Tony Munn as the EMO coordinator.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor and seconded by Councillor Tidd. That was moved by Councillor Hatt. Question or comment on the motion? All those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye. Contrary, and that's passed unanimously. We got 10B, surplus assets. I would entertain a motion at this point. Councillor Thompson, you guys are. Great, we have a motion on the floor. We need a seconder for that, Councillor Hatt. Question or comment on that motion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, and that's passed unanimously. 10C is the Housing Acceleration Fund application, which is called HAF, I guess it is. I'll entertain a motion for that. Councillor Lee.
I move to approve the submission of an application to CMHC for the Housing Acceleration Fund, and that council authorize the CAO to enter into any contribution agreements or amending agreements that may be required should the municipality be approved for funding under that program.
We have a motion on the floor. We need a seconder for that. Councillor McQuarrie, just by question or comment on the motion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. That's passed unanimously. That brings us up to 10D, generators and capital funds. I entertain a motion at this point. Councillor Tidd, you're going to.
I move that council affirm the motion of July 19, 2023, approving the use of $128,000 budgeted in the 2023 under the St. George Tax Unit Capital Fund land towards $42,000 towards paving and $86,000 for generators, and consider this matter closed.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. I need a seconder for that. Councillor Lee. Question or comment on the motion? Councillor Dederakis, you're first.
So I'm happy this is part of our discussion for today. Just so we can emphasize, the St. George Capital, the Capital Fund is as a fund that was contributed by just the taxpayers of the former town of St. George. And we're looking at, or we made a motion in the previous council to purchase a generator for the municipal building of the municipality of Eastern Charlotte. And that should be paid for by the taxpayers of the entire entity of Eastern Charlotte, not just by the taxpayers of St. George. And I do believe that the rest of the remaining portion of the St. George Capital Fund, it should be applied against the capital debt that remains in St. George and will continue to remain in St. George despite the fact that we are amalgamated.
Good. Any other questions or comments on this motion? Councillor McKay, you're next.
Okay, as a councillor at large and also living in St. George, I can see Councillor Dederakis's point where this was contributed by the citizens of St. George in this capital fund. I try to always see every side of the coin. I can also see where, in a case of an emergency, are we really going to quibble over who spent the money? So with that being said, I just wanted to say, I don't really know where my vote's going to go, but I just want to say that I see both sides of how this is playing out. That's all I want to say.
Thank you. Councillor McKay, any other questions or comments on this motion?
Yes, I do.
Councillor Hatt, you're next.
So for clarification, there was a motion here about boring funds for the capital boring board and about replacements of fire packs. So I thought I'd give some information on where the money for the fire packs that we all agreed that were going to be a shared cost for the fire service, because at the end of the day, can't say for sure who's getting called, but if it's in St. George area, I'm sure St. George Fire is going to be there. So for the record, one pack was expired in Blacks Harbor for $9,960. 9 packs in St. George Fire Department, which $89,640, and 30 cylinders for St. George, which was $54,750. Maybe we suggest that the $140,000 comes from that to pay for that service. Question.
No, I have to, the way this works is everybody has one chance to speak on the issue. Any other questions or comments?
No. Really? Can we have
Yeah, no,
clarification
the only person
from the
that-
CAO, if that's correct?
In a motion on the floor, the only person that speaks twice is the person giving the motion, if you would check your rules. So, Councillor Thompson, you're next.
With the fire packs, they are a need. They will service all of Eastern Charlotte. Doesn't matter whose pack's on what back, they will be used. We are in a need for a generator for the municipal hall and this building. Regardless who pays for it, they are needs for the community. If it has to go to a shared cost, it has to go to a shared cost. We will all benefit from it, but the fire pack issue is past council's lack of planning or forward thinking of what we needed today. That's the big thing. It's $180,000 that we have to come up with that we don't have because somebody dropped the ball. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson. Any other councillors like to make a statement on this, or if not, I'll take this to a vote. All those in favor of the motion made by Councillor Tidd and seconded by Councillor Lee, signified by raising your hand, please. Okay, we have Councillor Hatt, Councillor Thompson, Deputy Mayor. On the right side is Councillor McKay, Councillor Lee, Councillor Tidd, and Councillor McCrory. I declare that motion carried. Okay, that moves us ahead to 11, correspondence. I don't think I have that one right here, so I just got to read that. Sorry, I'm not prepared. I have a letter here tonight from the Livingstones on 32 Carlton Street. This is copied to Councillor Dedorakis as well, and this is actually to our Chief Administration Officer. My husband and I live at 32 Carlton Street, St. George. The reason we are writing you is to ask you to put some signs up on our street. Signs saying to slow down to 35 kilometers, and signs saying that there are blind driveways on this very busy street. As you may know, the speed on the street is so fast and so dangerous that we feel that the people that use the street as to not having to follow the speed limit on Main Street, which is posted at 35 kilometers. As Carlton is parallel to Main Street and people seem to use it even more, the speed limit should be the same as the one on Main Street. There are people walking on the street, which makes it very dangerous for them. The line separating the sidewalk and the road makes a very narrow sidewalk, so it is fortunate that no one has been hurt so far. We want to thank you for your time you will give this matter, and that's from Lise and Sandy Livingstone. And do we have anything to, is there any, council, what would council like to do with that letter tonight? Councillor, Councillor Dedorakis to my left.
I move that the letter from the Livingstones be referred to the Administration Committee for review and recommendation.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor, seconded by Councillor Hatt. Councillor Dedorakis made that. Question or comment on the motion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Oh,
And that's passed unanimously. That brings us to the public presentation appearances. Please note, under the bylaw EC01, Section 7.1, members of the public shall be entitled to address council for 5 minutes with no debate from council on matters of municipal jurisdiction. Just remind the public, this is not question and answer time, but your opportunity to speak. And we have former councilor coming forward. And just ask you to give your name and your civic address. Thank you.
Sam Rubin, 33 Mount Pleasant Road, St. George.
Nice to have you here tonight, Sam.
Thank you very much. Last month, the CAO made a statement. He said they reviewed the borrowing and debt of St. George, $1.8 million, Black Harbor, $450,000, pending outstanding debt canceled off. I'm not supposed to ask a question, but the debt's not gone away. I'm pretty clear that's not what that meant. Okay. Next, financial report by Councillor Lee. It's a general overview, and it's not too bad, actually, and it's good to see that you're finally getting some information on what's being spent. And you should know what's being spent and where it's being spent. If I asked you, for example, how much did it cost for that lining machine that we just bought, you should be able to tell me, within reason. Wayne? Okay. You know, so that's budgeted or not, sometimes you really don't know. The budget for this year was presented by the CAO to the province, and the province approved the budget. You didn't approve it. You don't know what's in it. Well, I'm not saying because you didn't comprise it. As you see it, you pretty well know it's a little different than what it might be this year coming for you. Now, as you people just talked about, the Capital Borrowing Board and the Capital Project Fund are two different things. The Capital Borrowing Board, the air packs, is around $175,000 to $180,000 over 10 years, I believe, and that goes to the Fire Protection Services, which services the entire area of Eastern Charlotte. We all have one fire department now. You guys made it that way. We hired one chief. We're now coming together. They will call, and when they are called, they will go to any place in Eastern Charlotte and beyond if they're needed. These are a vital piece of equipment that needs to be provided for the protection of our firefighters and first responders, no matter what they're doing. Forget the past. I'm going to elaborate on a couple other things at this point. The $100,000 for the water line repair on Riverview Avenue is going to be paid for, from what I understand, by the users of the water utility of St. George. Not anybody else. That's me. That's anybody who uses our water lines in St. George. That's a separate payment, but this borrowing, this is the way it's done. The $50,000 for the vehicle for the rec department is going to be cost shared, or if it isn't, it should be. It's all of Eastern Charlotte. These are projects that takes a lot of money for some of these things, and going forward, you need it. Now, the Capital Project Fund, I believe, is reserved money from the former councils in the past. I can tell you $295,000 was moved over last year because I voted for it. Actually, I made the motion. You're getting to use some of that. It was $202,000 at the last month's meeting, $128,000 for land, $42,000 for pavement upgrades on the Manor Road, I believe, which is a combination of gas tax money to do that, and that's probably going to be tight because the cost of fuel and asphalt and everything's just gone crazy this last while. And $86,000 for generators. That's a shortfall in my math of $53,500. Where's that coming from? I don't hear any answers, but I don't expect any either. The generators. Amalgamation was supposed to be cost shared. St. George was in favor of amalgamation. We're here. January 1st, we started sharing. Our municipal building is cost shared. The Macadavic place is cost shared. That's why this was done, to alleviate a little strain so everybody could have the use of it, and everybody is getting the use of it. Everybody's getting the use of our budget in St. George quite well. We're going behind. There's no question about it. The services are deteriorating. It's just the gamut of the change to getting into the role is going to take a little bit. There's going to be some hardship for some and not for others. The cost share, the taxes of ours, we're the second highest, Black Harbor being the first, are supposed to go down some, and everybody's supposed to come up a little bit. I can't help that. The government designed it. That's the way it's supposed to be. There'll be tax increases. The CAO said it the first month. We're going to have increases. We may not, but I hope everybody does use these places that are cost shared. That's fine, but you know, the issue is, it is what it is at this point. The sign on the St. George former town municipal building says Eastern Charlotte. That tells me it's everybody's. The people working in it, they're cost shared. The building always was cost shared, even under St. George structure, because of one group using one part of it, another. It's not maybe total, but it is cost shared. It's Eastern Charlotte. It's just like Canal Beach. Same thing. The Riverview Avenue road repair was done today. I suspect a temporary repair. That should have been done 4 months ago. It's not any smoother, but it's not gravel. It should have been done. There's no reason for it. That's just poor management. It's an oversight. The pickleball court. The pickleball group raised a certain amount of money, and they did get government funding to carry on and do the rest. It wasn't the plan to replace the stairs. Go up and look at them. They're in poor repair. They need to be fixed. St. George has 4 cast iron planters, somewhere between $8,000 and $10,000. We have a $10 plant in one of them. One of them. $10,000. You mean to tell me, and we've got money in the bank account to put flowers in them. I don't understand why you even put them out if you're not going to put anything in them. It's an embarrassment. Terrible. It's nice to see that our first responders at Dunwoody Corner, the plaques are finally up after 2.5 years. The monument could have been a little better. I guess that's about it for my rant today. But, you know, St. George's identity is pretty well gone at this point, and we're giving more than our fair share to this whole setup. We didn't ask to have it. I know it can work. I expect to be fair with everybody. You know, it's the LSDs aren't asking for much. They're not in the position to. For example, if Mr. McCrory wanted to see his budget for the LSD at Penfield, he should be able to say, there you go. The CAO should be able to give that to you, because it's basically expenses. Protective services, garbage, environmental. There's a few odds and ends. I mean, the new budget going forward, Wayne, for example, if you wanted to have something at your park, that's something you should consider at tax time. You know, everybody should kick a little bit in to put what you want there. You know, it's the same way when we inherited the 3 fire halls. The insurance went way up, way up. Our plan is only small, but the province had a big plan, so it was less money. Everything costs more. You got to do the best you can with what you can. And the growing pains, they're here. You can't help that. The arena, I would like to know actually how much money is being invested. I know a lot of it is grant money. I understand that. There are cost overages on just about every job these days, because the price of everything has just gone skyrocket. It's got to be absorbed somewhere. Good to see it's being up and used. I'm glad people are using it. You're trying to bring it back up from the, it was falling pretty bad there at one point. The more people use it, the better it is. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor. I almost said Councilor. Sam, thank you. And you used about the whole 5 minutes. You did a good job. No, you don't say sorry. You did. I was going to say you did a good job. Thank you. Anybody else would like to have the opportunity to speak? You have the chance now to come right up front. They're thinking about it. Going once, twice, 3 times. That's it. Okay, we move on. And that means statements by members of council. I'll start off first tonight. I want to thank Nancy and Robert Rayner for doing the garden work around the post office. They did an excellent job. I think Councilor Dedirakis, I don't know if you want to speak a little bit further on that afterwards, but I just want to thank them for doing excellent work, making the St. George looking great. I attended the annual Greens Point Lighthouse Barbecue on August the 5th. It was a spectacular day with lots of sun after the fog burned out, and everybody that has never been there should try to visit this wonderful jewel in Eastern Charlotte's crown. I as well attended the events on New Brunswick Day in Beaver Harbor along with Councillor Tidd. It was a beautiful day with many people attending on the wharf, as well as a nice parade. And I also attended the Operation White Heart unveiling in memory of Hillary Virginia Ruth Hooper on August the 6th. I was honored to welcome to Eastern Charlotte the African warrior Devin Peterson last Friday to a full house at the Eastern Charlotte's Lions Club. Devin is a professional dart player who qualified for the World Championships 7 times. Friday evening, he took on 16 local challengers, and I stayed up way past my bedtime that evening, but it was a great event. I want to take this opportunity tonight to congratulate Derek Hanley for placing number 1 in the province of New Brunswick in men's darts. I want to congratulate Ann Dewar and Ross and Wilfred Langmaid, all of the organizers of the Mariners Music Fest this past weekend. The weather was great and everybody enjoyed themselves. I hope this event continues each year. I hope to announce later next week an opening of the Service Commission office here in St. George in September. I'd like to remind everybody that the YMCA has another full week of summer programs, as Councillor Hatt was saying, happening at the arena in the Blacks Harbor beginning the next week. We are very fortunate to have the YMCA centralized out of the arena. I hope to see everybody in Blacks Harbor from September the 1st to the 3rd for Fog Festival 2023. Lots of music with the Artificially Hip playing Saturday evening right up to the fireworks. It'll be a soapbox derby, horse pull, motor show, and much, much more. Councillor Hatt, I know he spoke of it. I mean, he might want to speak a little bit more afterwards. And I want to remind everybody that in a few short weeks that school will be back in and be watchful of the young children and the school buses. I also wish to congratulate Hannon's Pumping for receiving a certificate of appreciation from the RCMP inspector for their invaluable assistance in the ground search and rescue operation in March. And I do have a letter. It was sent to me as I was coming in tonight, and I'll just read it off. It's from the Mariners Alumni Association. Dear John, I got a Dear John letter. Please accept the sincere thanks to the Mariners Alumni Association for your support of the 2023 Mariners Music Fest. The extra care and attention provided on Friday as staff filled in holes and wet spots with gravel to provide a safe and pleasant experience on Saturday was also appreciated. The entire festival was a great success. Tonight, we would ask for your support as we again plan the following as Mariners Music Fest Weekend 2024 comes up. We hope also to have a family-centered musical event on Sunday afternoon on August the 11th next year. As been the case in 2022 and 2023, there will be ample security, fencing, and volunteer workers to keep things smooth and safe. More details will come as plans develop. We want to be proactive to request support for a 4-day festival next year and permission for the necessary liquor licenses for the 9th, 10th, and 11th of next year. That's something Council will discuss later on. Thank you again for your support and partnership. Yours in the spirit of funding community, Ann Dewar, 1980 graduate, Executive Director of the Mariners Alumni Association, and Wilfred Langmaid, a 1978 graduate and Music Director and Mariners Music Fest. I'll go to Deputy Mayor at this point.
The only thing I have is with the public safety, the RCMP are encouraging everybody to call, report everything you see. If you want action, we've got to be part of it and keep on the phones and keep them busy.
Yep, good point. Councillor Thompson, you're next. Councillor Hatt.
So my concern, obviously, is the water in Blacks Harbor, and it's been going on for about 3 months for the repair. I think it's unacceptable on many different parties' dockets right now that this has gone on as long as it has, and been an email chain back to May, June. So at the end of the day, here we are today with a tower full of yucky water, businesses shut down, small businesses not able to run in tourist season. It's not a very good appetite to have in August. So how it's got this far, there's a lot of cake on people's faces, I think, as of this morning. You know, hopefully maybe, you know, public health will step in and you know, maybe put some fire under people's butts that need to get a hi-ho here and some stuff to fix a pipe. Not Monday, but maybe tomorrow. I think it's unacceptable. It's 2023. If this was a complete water line failure, bet you somebody'd be here tonight fixing it. Bet you we wouldn't be waiting to Monday. Bet you we wouldn't be waiting since June. That's about it.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Hatt. Councilor Dederakis.
I got a comment last week, and they said to me, you know, this isn't the Town of St. George show, and obviously it's not. You know, we're Eastern Charlotte now. The Town of St. George was dissolved, 8 months ago. But, I represent St. George, and there are 6 other councilors here that also represent their wards, and it's really important for each of us to advocate for our unique needs and interests. So I'm not going to apologize for doing my job and for representing St. George. Every day I hear about, general road maintenance, whether it's like potholes and sidewalks, or about pipes breaking, sewage backing up into residents' homes, a generator for well number 2, the existing debt that we have, the $1.8 million existing debt that we face. And I also recognize that, talking about money isn't particularly sexy. It's not fun. And I think it's considered like one of the leading causes for divorce as well. So, but we have to have that conversation sometimes, right? And I think it's important that, in the future that this council sets up an Eastern Charlotte Capital Fund that will serve the shared needs of all the municipality of Eastern Charlotte. And just to clarify one of the comments that I believe it was Councillor Thompson that made in terms of the responsibility for the air packs. The former Town of St. George Council never delayed or deferred the decision on any proposal brought to the council by our CAO for the air packs. So I just want to put that on the record and to clarify that. And in terms of for the capital borrowing board, this is something that we acquire that will be paid over the course of 10 years, I believe, across all the wards. The difference between that and what happened today is we purchased an asset for the municipality of Eastern Charlotte, and it was paid for just by the taxpayers of St. George. So, thank you.
I'm going to go to Councilor McClory. Councilor Tidd. Councilor Lee.
Just to further that a little bit, Councillor Decoratis, I'd just like to say that I think the constituents in your ward are very lucky to have you. We may not all agree on everything, but you do an excellent job for them.
Councilor McKay.
So today I was home and I heard a couple of ancient proverbs, and I just wanted to read them. Ponder the path of your feet, and all your ways be established. A sensible person stays on the right path. That is what this council needs to do. We need to stay on the right path, even though, once again, we all have differences of opinions, and we all have things that maybe we're passionate about, and we want to see the best for each area. The thing is, it's Eastern Charlotte. We are one large community now, and we need to do what is best for all of Eastern Charlotte. That's all I have to say.
Okay. Before we go any further, I just want to thank Councilor McKay. She's great at changing tires, and she helped me last week changing the tire, and I can't thank her enough. She did a great job. So I was late for a meeting, and I made her late, so I can't thank her enough. The date and location of the next meeting is Wednesday, September 20th, 2023 at 7 p.m. at the Macadavic Place Community. Council will be together again on September the 5th on a Tuesday evening, and that's the next time we'll be meeting. And at this point, I'll be looking for a motion for adjournment. And Councilor Dederakis, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for coming.